Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallam. So welcome to our sixth module. Alhamdulillah, we have completed the 5 modules. This is our last module that we'll be covering today, bi'idhnillah. And we have the links for the slides up here and as well as the link for the videos. So this is a playlist of videos, and inshallah the latest videos would be available at this link. So right now, for example, if you were to go today at the time of recording, you'll probably see old videos, but then, hopefully inshallah in a few weeks, and we'll have uploaded the new videos bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So as a recap of what we have been covering so far. So the first module, we talked about the why, why we do this, why is new Muslim work important, and, what are some of the risks to the du'as and how they can be careful about protecting themselves and so on and so forth. Then we started talking about, how do we understand new Muslims? Not every new Muslim, can be understood in the same way. What are some of the milestones? We discussed some success stories, and we had a new refined perspective on how to view a new Muslim and the opportunities and the challenges. And we talked about some of the myths around them. Then we talked about how you can set up a team to best serve them, different roles, different things to be careful about, and best practices, and so on and so forth. And then we started talking about the first meeting, setting up a first meeting, things to be aware of, things that you can go over. And then we talked about, the regular follow-ups. During these 5 modules, we also discussed the 4 components or the 4 pillars of convert coaching, which is like motivation and inspiration, the why part, the teaching part, the how part, and goal setting. And then the 4th pillar is about empowerment and coaching. And module 6 is going to be more and mostly about empowerment and coaching. And that is our module for today. So let's begin. So as a coach, here are some of the goals and milestones that you can think of for your new Muslim. So a very, very easy thing, the basic thing is for you to keep in touch with them with a weekly call. Ideally a video call if you can, if not, then just an audio call, right? And because call is easy, you don't have to be at the same time. There's no driving, there's no taking the bus. You can just easily get on a call at a time that works for both of you. Okay, the next best thing is for them to come at least once a week to meet you. And that could be in the masjid, ideally in the masjid, you both pray together, in the jama'ah, and, you do some learning and you go over prayers and you go over wudu. That's obviously the next best thing, if possible, right? Then you can also think about how you can get them to watch some content on their own, like, YouTube, as we discussed earlier, or going through New Muslim Academy and so on and so forth. The next goal could be then, getting them to pray once a day on their own or in the masjid with the jama'ah, right? And then the Friday prayers, and then, them establishing 3 prayers and so on and so forth. So these are some of the, goals that you can target. Now, at the same time, most of the stuff we talked about were religious goals. Don't forget that depending on the person, some of them may be more open to or more interested in social events, like, barbecues or social events in the masjid or in the community. So it's important for you to know what their interests are, and then either personally inform them of what's happening around them, or helping them to subscribe to whatever the local resources are. So we know we have done work for Toronto and surrounding areas. Now, whatever your area is, you have to figure out how you can keep them aware of the events around them. Obviously, let's say if you are remotely coaching someone, then you have to try to figure out how they can tap into, via social media, Twitter feeds, mailing list, masjid mailing list, or WhatsApp groups, where they can actually be aware of the events that are happening, and then they can go to whatever they're interested in. If there's a fees involved, then you can either try to fundraise and cover the cost, or talk to the organization and have the fees dropped for them. Some of them may have time and may also be interested in subhanAllah, in volunteering, right? So you want to make those opportunities available to them. Like, so it could be like a food bank, a Dawah stall, depending on the person's interest and so on and so forth. Giving them chance to contribute to the community can be a great thing. And some of them may be interested in sports, so connecting them with, like, the brothers or the sisters sports team, which they can be in Muslim company, pray, and so on and so forth, right? Some of them may be open to coming to the masjid classes or conferences and things like that. So just keeping in mind, what they can get, what you can get them engaged into, inshallah. Okay, so this was, some of the goals and some of the things that to keep in mind. And then we'll talk about the next important thing, which is gratitude, and why this is important. We'll talk about it in the next session. Okay, so gratitude is a very important thing, right? So a lot of time, depending on the new Muslim, some of them may be very stressed for different reasons. And that situation could have actually brought them closer to Allah and the purpose of life. But now if they're feeling overwhelmed, obviously we're talking about a basic level support, right? If it's something really complex in which they need help for a therapist or a doctor, we definitely want to recommend them and, signpost them or suggest them to go to a doctor or a therapist. And it does not have to be a Muslim, right? That's another thing to be careful about, especially in the West. They can go to a, a non-Muslim therapist as well, especially if they need it, right? So now this is the basic dosage, the basic things which does not include involve a complexity. So I recommend them, look, brother would come and say, okay, hey, that's fine, we understand. I can only imagine how hard it must be for you. Let's try to do these things to feel better. Let's do some deep breathing, right? So obviously when you deep breathe, it helps you with your blood flow and different things like that. So it's important to start with that. And then, help them think about like what's going well in their life. Okay. Step by step, just take a look at your surrounding, just the blessings of you being able to see, just imagine if you were not able to see, how would life be? You being able to hear. If you're not able to hear, how would life be? You being able to, take a step if you choose to. You being able to, move your hand and pick something up, right? These are not trivial things. Just try to imagine, right? You having clothes, you having food, you having shelter, you not being afraid of the security of yourself and your family members. Just really, really imagine, the good things that are going really, really well for you. And there are millions and millions of people who are struggling with these basic things. Okay. Reflecting on past successes, right? How far have you come, right? If you have achieved some skill, or even the basic thing of like, accepting Islam, right? That's a huge gift. Imagine you dying without Islam. Okay. And then hoping that, your future would be brighter than your today. So, regardless of what has happened, let's say if there has been a divorce or a breakup, don't think that was the end of it. You will definitely find a better person. If they have lost a loved one, imagine the new relationships and the new family Allah will give them, and so on and so forth, right? So this is a very important thing to practice and have that sort of discussion with them to help them with gratitude. Now, another thing which is sort of related, so the gratitude, it would come in especially if the person is getting really overwhelmed, so help them go through the gratitude exercise. Next time, say, hey, you know what? Remember we did this gratitude exercise? Why don't you do it now? Right? Let them initiate it. Let's see how much they can remember. And obviously you can add in the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ, that if you are thankful, if you're grateful, Allah will surely increase you, right? And that is, gratitude from your heart, you realizing the benefits, the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as your tongue, you saying it from your tongue, and then you using what Allah has given you in ways that Allah is pleased with. Now, here's something also to keep in mind. A lot of, and again, all these things you would have to use the dial, the balance, depending on the person that you're dealing with. Okay, so I have many new Muslims who would be like, they would just go through the guilt of, oh, I'm a hypocrite, I don't pray, I'm not good for anything, or I have a girlfriend, or I drank, So they will say those things, but this is not beneficial. This is not motivating them to do more good deeds. What they are doing is they're like, you know what, there's no hope for me. I might as well just give up. So we want to change that into, well, look, if you did something bad, now do something good to make up for it. Okay. Or another way of looking at it is try to collect as much good deeds as possible. Celebrate your small wins. So instead of focusing on the 4 prayers that you have missed, focus on the one that you get, right? And see, can you add one more? So instead of, just having 1 prayer, can you have 2 prayers a day, 3 prayers a day, right? So if you did something wrong, Can I do more good deeds? Can I do some charity? Can I do some dua? Dua is so easy. You could be just sitting and making dua. You could be just making wudu, right? That has rewards. You could be just doing istighfar or reading Quran or helping someone. So try to do as much good deeds as possible, right? Same thing goes with the body concept, right? If you ate unhealthy stuff, well, now go on a walk. If gym is hard, just go on a regular stroll, a regular walk, or just do a few sit-ups, a few push-ups, what have you. So this is very important to keep in mind so that we can have a forward progress. Okay, next we want to talk about the atomic habits. Okay, so this is a very important topic. I've mentioned it in a few modules before. Now we will go into some details around it, inshallah, today. So here's a link that should get you to a lot of free resources that the author provides, and it is also in our training manual. So this is important for us to go through on our own and improve our own habits, as well as go together with the person that you're mentoring, and would help them as well. So let's open that. Okay, so here are the resources, and these are some great concepts that we have in this book. Okay, so this is the main page, and then from there you can get to the other templates and pages. Okay, so I'll just do a quick review, and hopefully you will have a chance to then look into it in detail, inshallah. So he talks about some of the techniques here. So how do you create a good habit? So what he has done is he has made it into 4 points, right? The cue, when you desire or when you want to perform the habit. And as you see that cue, then you have a craving, right? You have a desire to achieve something. In response to that desire, you do an action, and then you achieve the reward. Okay, so that's the basic loop that he gives you. Okay, now if we go back here, what he's saying is that make it obvious, right? So if from our target, let's say if the target is for them to go and attend a class, or go and log in and do a class, or do a prayer. So making it obvious would be, them getting a call or them getting a reminder on their phone, right? So they don't forget. So that's one point about it. Okay, make it attractive, make it fun. So for example, if they're doing the prayer with someone, usually it's attractive. Same thing goes for, workout. If you're doing it with someone, usually it's attractive, as opposed to if you're doing it by yourself. Making it easy, right? So simple, easy steps. So one of the things is, okay, don't think of it too complicated. Just think of it, okay, time for prayer comes in. I just have to do what? The first step, which is the wudu. Then I have to stand up, right? Just think about simple steps. And if you can't even do that, just do, like, let's say, just think about doing 1 unit of prayer. Okay, so just making things easy like that. And there are other techniques that he talks about. And then make it satisfying, right? So one of the things that they can do, as we were saying here, so you could have like a budget, right? Okay, each time I perform a prayer, I'm going to put in $5 for my budget to buy a sneakers or book, or go on a trip, whatever, something that's attractive. So you have some sort of like a a game of motivation. Again, you have the right intention to do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is something that you're doing to have that sort of additional incentive. Okay, same thing can go on the other hand. They could have a penalty. Okay, if I miss a prayer, if I have a goal of praying at least 1 prayer a day, and come on, if I can't even do 1 prayer a day, I'm going to give $10 to my coach or to this thing, whatever, right? So you have some sort of a pain that you feel right away. Same thing goes for breaking a bad habit. You could just do the opposite of what we did with, building a good habit. Okay, so here's another thing that he does. Okay, so he talks about habit stacking. So you may have something that you already do, right? So for example, you already take time to eat your lunch. So now you would say, okay, after I have eaten my lunch, I'm going to perform my afternoon prayer. Or you could say, before I eat my lunch, I'm going to perform my, afternoon prayer. So he talks more about that here. So basically, you do something and then you stack something in the middle. Okay, so he talks about a lot of other stuff that I'll let you read. Okay, so a lot of interesting exercises, and okay, so you can read that, inshallah. Okay, so this is a frequently asked question. Okay, so he talks about the different laws that he has talked about. So again, we won't have time to go through all of that here, but I'm just showing you so you can go through it, inshallah, in your own time, and also with the new Muslim that you're mentoring. This is another interesting concept here, right? So take a look at all the habits that you currently have and score them into something. Is this something that's helping you become who you want to become? Is it a negative habit or a positive habit? So kind of classifying things that you currently have that you want to keep or you want to get rid of. Okay, what we have here is an implementation intention. Okay, so he's saying that instead of you doing a vague thing, okay, I will do one prayer, make it more specific. Or, I will read a page of Quran at 7 a.m. in my living room or in my car, whatever, right? So make it more specific, and writing it down actually has a bigger impact. So, again, you can try it in your own life as well as with your person that you're coaching. Okay, so here is basically the template of habit stacking, right? So what we talked about earlier, after I do this, I will do this. Or it could also be that, I will read a page of Quran, then I will check my social media, right? So, that could also serve as a, an attraction for reward, right? It's the stuff that you actually want and the stuff that you need. So you want to put in the stuff that you need in between things that you desire or you want. All right, so here's a habit, tracking template, right? Tracking really helps you. So you kind of see, okay, look how successful I was in this week, in this month, and so on and so forth. We talked about another thing last week, which was a very interesting app, Habit Share app. So you could just use that, or if you or the person that you're mentoring prefers a handwritten journal, or you could just start your own book or your own journal as well. Okay, so here's a habit contract, right? Where you can actually have a, more concrete thing. Okay, this is my objective. If I do this, I will achieve this, or I will lose this, right? So this is a very interesting idea as well. So you could do a habit contract for yourself or the person that you are mentoring as well. Okay, fantastic. So that was our, what we wanted to discuss on atomic habits. So now let's say you're responding to a situation, okay? So they have an issue, they have a concern, you're trying to respond to the situation. So here are 3 components to keep in mind. Number 1, active listening. So this is something we talked about earlier, right? So you want to make sure that you're listening to them and you're not just thinking about a response. You're listening to them, and they should actually also feel that you have heard them. A way to do that is to explain to them that, hey, you know what? Okay, just to make sure I got this right, this is what's happening and this is how you're feeling. Okay, so that's something very important to understand. Okay, now the second component is to show empathy. That look, what you're feeling, I can understand that this must be hard. I can only imagine how hard this would be. And at the same time, you want to give them that hope that, okay, you know what, inshallah, things are going to get better. Let's discuss what we can do about this situation. And then you want to go into the next phase, which is empowerment. So when it comes to the empowerment phase, so this is again a definition of coach that we discussed earlier in a way that, look, you're trying to help them achieve something, right? So you're helping them set goals, you're empowering them, you're making connections, and so on and so forth. So now in terms of empowerment, okay, so you want to discuss, okay, this is something that has happened to them. This is something that, this is how they're feeling. This is something that just happened. This is how, someone in their family or friend has reacted or responded to them. Now the question is, what are our options to react? So brainstorm ideas. You could use your own ideas. They can come up with a list of ideas as well. Don't hesitate to go to other people in the community, again, Muslims or non-Muslims, who may have options for them. And this could be work related, this could be emotions related, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then you can discuss the pros and cons of each option. Okay, and then obviously you want to achieve, sometimes, you can't achieve the best thing, so you may want to do the lesser of the 2 evils, right? We talked about some things earlier, right? They may have some bad habits and they may not be ready to give them up. They may have a girlfriend, they may have a boyfriend, whatever you're going to do about it, right? So again, lesser of 2 evils and focusing on the greater good. And then at the end, they make the decision. You can suggest, you can help them prioritize or do the pros and cons, but the decision would be their own thing. Now, in terms of emotions or what have you, one key thing to kind of quick hack to remember is to differentiate between facts and story. Okay, so if they are saying, you know what, look, okay, I'm not good for anything, I cannot get a job, nobody will marry me, whatever. So these are the stories, these are not facts. So you want to help them distinguish between facts and stories. So what is a fact? Well, I applied for this job and I did not get an interview. That's a fact. I applied for this job, I got an interview, and I did not get the job. Well, the question is like, how many jobs have you applied for? How many interviews have you gotten? Yeah, I just did one. Okay, so just based on that one, you're telling yourself the story that you're not good enough. Okay, so you want to make sure that their facts and the stories are separate, because you could have a set of facts and two different stories. Well, you know what? You haven't applied to enough jobs. Maybe the other candidate was better. There could be so many different stories. So, you want to help them see that they're telling them the wrong story. So the story is not the fact. Fact is an observation, and the story is what they're telling themselves. And that's why, they are reacting in the way that they're reacting. And this could be in any situation. It could be with relationships. It could be with different, even from a deen perspective, right? Well, Allah doesn't love me. How do you know? Oh, because, I lost the job. Really? Right? So again, they're jumping on the thing. So you want to keep that fact and story separate. Okay, so here we have some case studies, okay, that you can utilize. Again, if we had a longer session, in-person session, usually we try to brainstorm these things, but there's something to think about. And also I will link later recordings in which we go in a deeper study of these case studies. So you have 3 case studies here for you to think about. Or even, if you have a partner, practice them. Use these 3 principles of active listening, empathy, hope, and then empowerment. So what have we done so far is we have given you some sort of quick hacks, quick tips on, personal development and coaching. Okay, this is something that's a longer topic, as you can see. And what I would recommend is basically we keep a list of different workshop and different series that we have done on that topic under this document in the section of extended training. So at this point, there are 3 trainings there at the time of the recording of this video. Maybe in a year or 6 months, we may have more. So if we go back to this, to our training manual, let me show you where they are and how they look. Okay, here it is, right? So under extended training, and this is something that we recommend, right? So if you're working on training with our team, once you have done the fundamental training, we'd recommend that you go through this, right? So we have a full system of 5 pillars of success. The videos are here, and the slides and the worksheet that we use for this video is available at this link. Okay. The second thing that we have is basically some of the content that we were talking about here: active listening, empathy and trust, and empowerment. So I just gave you a quick overview, but we talk in details about it here, and the slides of that are here. I did a session specifically on mastering your emotions, and we talked about different things, including the quick tip I gave you here, which is to separate facts versus stories. So again, the notes and the YouTube video is here. Okay, so as we get more books and stuff, we'll put them here. Right now, I think the key thing is Atomic Habits, and there are some deeper, resources for, personal development or relationship coaching and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's something that I would highly recommend that you check out on your own time, inshallah, as you continue to develop yourself. Okay, so where do we go from here now? Right, so now you have completed this, training. You obviously, with each training, we actually gave you a lot of resources, right? So stuff that you need to think about, read, and practice with a partner. So from here, now what you can do is you can make dua, that Allah blesses this training, blesses this project, give us success in our objective. Let other people know about it, right? So maybe you don't have time to become a coach or set up a team. Let other people know. Let your Dawah teams know that, are they properly dealing with new Muslims? Can they have a few people who are focused on new Muslims? They can use this training. They can set up, their own teams. If you want to be a coach with us, you can send us an email, and then we can, get you involved in the training. We'll interview you, we'll support you, and you'll become part of the team. Other things you can do is I have a group for coaches. So if you are someone who is interested in being a coach or is a coach already, as new resources come in, I put them on this announcement group for coaches. So you're welcome to join this group. Again, you just click on this link and you'll be able to join the group. How would you get to the link? Is by getting to the slides. Okay, I also have a group in which periodically I share content that's relevant for the converts as well. Okay, so once again, this is the link for your slides. The videos will get uploaded in this playlist. And yeah, so that's what we have, to cover for these things. I just want to mention another thing, that we have this document, which I've been making for several years now. It's called Empowering Muslims. And this is a Q&A playlist on Mufti QA regarding questions about new Muslims. And this document has a lot of different things, as you can see here. So you can search for different things, depressed, prayers, parents, and you'll get a lot of resources that are relevant to them. So again, if you have any feedback, please let us know what we did well, what you liked, what you did not like. Take a look at the slide, join a team, practice, and, keep making an impact. So basically, this is what it is. And now I think I'm just going to pause and take any questions. And, if you have any feedback, suggestions, this would be the time for you to share that with us, inshallah. So, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك جزاكم الله خيرا السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته